You put $5,000 on a credit card, and every month you pay exactly what the bank asks, and the balance barely moves. 8 years go by, and you hand the bank 2 of those before you get to breathe. Nobody lied to you. You just tapped the same button every time. Minimum payment, the most expensive button on your phone. Let me show you why. I'm a mechanic. 20 years taking apart a machine called your wallet. I know every gear. Today, the credit card's up on the lift. I'll show you 4 parts where money drips into someone else's pocket with numbers in hours of your life. No advice. I'm not your navigator. I just show how it's built. Where you drive is on you. Let's raise it up on the lift. Chris, 29, delivers food on an e-bike. Back in March, he saw an ad, a store card, up to 6 months no interest, a whole half year, free. Chris figured it was handy, grabbed a new phone and a jacket. Plenty of time. He'll pay it off easy. He tapped apply at a red light in under a minute. 6 months sounded like a gift. That gift bites back. Part 1. Up on the lift. That no interest window is trickier than it looks. Watch. To keep them from charging interest, you don't pay back part, you pay all of it, every cent by the final day. Miss it by a day or leave a little and the interest lands retroactively on the whole balance, like the free window never existed. That's not fine print for decoration. Working as designed. Chris paid back nearly all of it. Everything but $200. Pocket change, he figured. But the interest hit not that $200, it hit the entire $2,500 he'd borrowed. Roughly $300, conjured out of nothing. In hours, he makes 20 an hour, so that's 15 hours. 15 hours on the bike for interest that never had to exist. But that's only the bait. The real trap is waiting at the next part. Beth, 38, a hairstylist. She bought a pro blow dryer and a styling mirror for her chair. $2,000 on the card. Pricey, but the clients will pay it back. First statement shows up, and there's a smaller line on it. Minimum payment, $80. Beth was relieved. Just $80 a month. I can breathe. She tapped pay minimum and closed the app. The machine had been waiting for exactly that. Part 2. Up on the lift. Here it is. That little gear, the minimum payment, about 5% of the balance. Watch how it turns. You tapped this button without looking. I tap it myself. The bank first takes its interest for the month off the balance, and only whatever's left of your payment touches the actual debt. The body of the debt moved by pennies. Let's run it on Beth's 2,000. A typical bank's rate averages around 24% a year. That's about $40 in interest every month. Her payment is $80. Look right here. $40 went to the bank as interest, and only the other $40 touched the debt itself. Half of every payment is just air. Now watch what time does with that air. I hear the usual. Come on, I pay on time. The debt's slowly melting. What's the rush? Let's put it on the scale. It does melt, but drop by drop. Only slowly here isn't measured in months, in years. Exactly how many years to crawl to zero on minimums alone. I'll put it up on the lift and show you the clock. Objection noted. Objection weighed. Pete, 46, a long-haul trucker. 3 years ago, he covered a truck repair with a card. $4,000. Since then, he's paid the minimum every month, never missed once. Iron discipline. Last week, he opened the app just to check what was left. About $3,400 left. 3 years of payments. The debt shrank by $600. Pete decided the app was broken. Part 3. Up on the lift. Here's why the meter barely moves. The minimum payment is a treadmill. Lots of legs, but you're running in place. Simple design. The payment first hands over the interest, and only what's left touches the actual debt. The longer you drag it out, the more you've handed over in interest alone. You run, and the debt just stands there, watching your back. Let's finish Pete's treadmill. $4,000 at 24%, paying only the minimum, he clears it in about 8 years. He hands the bank nearly another $4,000 on top, a second repair bill. In hours of your life, that's around 160 hours, a month behind the wheel, just for interest, working as designed. But the treadmill has an evil twin. It wakes when you pay and buy at once. Back to Beth. While she was paying down the dryer on minimums, the busy season hit. She grabbed more color and supplies, another $500 on the same card. And here's the snare. While there's any balance on the card, the no-interest window is dead. Interest drips from day one on everything at once. The old debt's still alive, and a new one just piled on top. The ball started rolling. Look what came out. Beth pays the minimum like clockwork, and over 6 months, the debt didn't drop. It grew. $2,000 became about $2,400. In real money, she put in $600. That's 15 hours of her work. She paid, she tried, and the needle went the wrong way. One thing left to figure out: why all these parts lead to exactly one button. You expected the expensive part to be a high rate. Makes sense, at least the rate you could see in the contract. The priciest thing in this machine isn't the rate. The priciest thing is one small word: minimum. It sits in the app, pre-selected by default, a bright green button, and almost nobody touches that box. Look right here. 2 amounts in the app. The big one, pay in full, gray and modest, off to the side. And the green one, large, dead center, minimum payment. The bank isn't hiding the full payment. It just makes the one button that keeps you in debt the longest easy and lit up. The path of least resistance leads straight to the bank's register. That's exactly where they laid it. Add up everything this button takes. On an average $5,000 debt, paying only the minimum for years, a person hands the bank nearly $10,000, their $5 plus another $5 on top. $10,000 is 500 hours of your life, 3 months of work for the sole right to pay slower. And now, the valve. It's been in your hands the whole time. Where the valve is. You don't pick the rate, you don't pick the term, but the amount you pay, that one's yours. Pay a little over the minimum, and that same $5,000 closes not in 8 years, but in under a year and a half. The overpay then is about $1,000 instead of a whole second $5,000. Nobody showed you this button, but it's right there. Turning it is up to you. Let's put the whole machine together. Chris got interest charged retroactively. The bait part. Half of Beth's payment got eaten by interest. The minimum part. Pete ran the treadmill 3 years and barely moved. The time part. And new purchases on top of his debt drained his free window. The snowball part. Not one piece is broken. All greased. All working for one button. This whole machine is built so you pay as long as possible. Except for one screw. The screw is called the amount you pay, and the only hand on it is yours. The designers left it to you, out of generosity, or maybe they just didn't notice. Doesn't matter. What matters is this. Out of the whole machine, this one screw works for the driver, working as designed. And who turns it? That's on you alone. Back to the start. 5,000, 8 years, 2 amounts handed over. Remember? Now you know where those years were hiding. Not in the rate, but in one small word: minimum. The button that promised ease is the most expensive part of the machine. It's not going anywhere. But now you can see the second button too, the one right beside it. Your move. Open your bank app, find 2 lines, total balance and minimum payment, and write in the comments how many times bigger one is than the other. I read the readings. Subscribing is your service ticket. Keep it handy, and the next part's already taken apart. By protocol, I'm a mechanic, not a navigator. I showed you how it's built. Where you drive is on you. Next up on the lift, the part hiding inside the words interest-free installments.